Hi, I know I haven't posted in a while, but this summer I went to Boston and New York City, and one train line that goes through there is the Acela service, the fastest rail line in North America. In fact, it's the only thing that is sometimes considered high speed, although more like higher speed rail in the entire continent. And I went to see it. And today I'm going to be talking about the Acela service and rail overall in the Northeast Corridor, the most densest populated region of the United States, which also has a lot more rail than you probably think. We start our trip in the northern end of the Northeast Corridor rail area, at Boston South Station, at the south end of, Boston. This also happens to be the leg with the newest infrastructure, meaning that this is also the area of the line which could have the highest speeds.
We're at Boston South Station, taking the 715 train to Washington.
I'm here now in Boston South Station, where shortly you'll see one of the Acela trains. It is important to note that Acela was actually supposed to get new trains. However, Alstom has been struggling a lot recently, and the trains are having a lot of technical difficulties, so we're stuck with one of these, which is the older model, which isn't bad in the slightest, but it's unfortunate we couldn't ride one of the really nice new ones. I did see some later by accident, though.
That's one of the new trains. These are the Avelia Liberties. Holy cow. Oh my god.
Now, it's important to note that one of the benefits of the Acela train is not only its speed and competitiveness, but that a lot of these places are more accessible than they would be in other parts of the United States. This is because many of the cities on the Northeast Corridor, like Philadelphia, Boston, and New York City, have really robust local transit systems that allow people to access these trains. Like this MBTA commuter rail that's coming in right now.
Now boarding.
Acela trains have a standard 2x2 commuter rail seating setup with pretty comfortable chairs and a really good amount of legroom, although that's pretty standard for trains compared to planes. Now, something else that's pretty standard for intercity trains is having the 4-person table setup, although one thing that makes this a bit different than some other trains I've been on is that they're at the ends rather than in the middle of the cars.
What's this thing about?
Tickets, make sure you are on the correct train. Car 1 towards the front of the train, car 6 towards the rear. Each ticket has an assigned car and assigned seat. Make sure you are sitting on the correct car and correct seat. Once again, each ticket has an assigned car and assigned seat. Make sure you are sitting on the correct car and correct seat. This is Amtrak Acela Express number 2155, route to Washington.
And we're off. Now, something you may want to know about this footage is that what you're looking at is entirely owned by the government. That's right. Something that makes this fundamentally different than my Via Rail video is that the entirety of the Northeast Corridor is owned by Amtrak. This is key and what allows Amtrak to run much more reliable and much faster service on the Acela than on any of their other routes. Not only their routes, but in fact what makes the Acela so different and so much more reliable than Via Rail's mainline corridor between Windsor and Quebec City. Toronto to Montreal, it's way slower than it should be. Now that we've covered a basic overview of the Acela train, let's look at the individual segments in here. Now, the main segments are divided in the regions of the railway from north to south, starting with the northern part that we're in right now, the Boston to New York segment. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the Boston to New York segment has the highest top speeds currently, but this is primarily in the Massachusetts area and the northern part of Connecticut, as in Connecticut, NIMBYs, or those that oppose a lot of new developments in their area, have made sure that upgrades to railways in their area have been a lot harder, meaning that the train goes very slowly in some parts of Connecticut. Next, we have arguably the more important part of the Northeast Corridor, which is from New York City to Washington, D.C., split into two half segments of New York City to Philadelphia and Philadelphia to Washington, D.C. Now, what you'll notice from New York City to Philadelphia is that the speeds are generally consistent with a couple of really big drops. Now, these drops occur at really old rail bridges, really old rail tunnels, and the like. Things that actually are going to be improved in the future. In fact, Joe Biden has had a massive investment in rail infrastructure in the United States, a lot of which is going to the Northeast Corridor. Now, there are things to say about whether or not this investment should go elsewhere, but what is happening is happening. And a lot of old rail bridges, a lot of old rail tunnels, and a lot of bypasses are being made to ensure that the Acela not only can be made faster than it already is, but also to ensure that the Acela is reliable and can continue for years to come. part of this is also the fleet replacement, which I mentioned before has been delayed because of Alstom problems. But the fleet replacement will also include more trains than currently are there, which should allow for actually higher levels of service and reliability. Now, while most of these upgrades do improve the speed, sometimes significantly, their primary goal is actually just bringing the Acela up to a state of good repair. But large-scale speed improvements for the Acela along larger alignments are being studied as well as part of this package. While studies aren't any substantial difference, they are still an important first step, and hopefully we'll get a world-class Acela in our lifetimes. We're entering the cafe car, which is in car number 4. Let's go check it out. Oh, it is. Whoa. So we're in the washroom now. That's me. I got some pistachios. It's a sliding door with like a little lock mechanism. It's alright. We're getting new trains anyways. That isn't good. We will close that. This is the second time a high-speed train I've been on has had an open thing in the washroom. Which is since... then whatever. I love these things. Toilet seat covers. Cool. I can't review the pistachios because I actually never ended up eating them. But also, these are like standard pistachios, so they taste like standard pistachios. So, cafe car review quickly though. I love cafe cars in general. It was a nice cafe car. The bathroom is clean as well. And the Amtrak uniform workers, the Amtrak workers' uniforms are really nice. I love the fan art that I saw the Amtrak post one time, so yeah. So, arriving in Providence, Rhode Island. And the next few scenes you're going to see are all in Connecticut, and you might also notice that the train gets significantly slower, which kind of backs up my claim from before. Anyways, here's the price that I paid. I don't know why it says business class. I don't remember getting business class. It was $56 American, which is pretty high, but also not terrible, but not great if you do this regularly. I checked the price again just to make sure, and like a week from now would be around the same price I paid, and if you do it day of, it's $250, which is way too high, but train costs are generally way too high in the Western world. Now, to get back to my discussions of the speed along the various segments, the last segment is a segment from Philadelphia to Washington, D.C. This segment's actually very interesting because while the top speeds are still in the Boston area, this section will be the fastest and, more importantly, have the fastest sustained speeds, except for one small part in Maryland, which actually is being fixed as part of the Federal Railroad improvements. Now, a lot of you may be wondering, wait, is this the high-speed rail in America? Because you've all heard of California high-speed rail, or maybe Brightline. Although, I will say, currently, Brightline in Florida is not really high-speed rail. But anyways, California high-speed rail is a really important and really big project, but it isn't complete yet. And as we speak right now, the Northeast Corridor is the most robust rail network in not just the country of the United States, but in America. And that means all of America. Now, if you found this topic interesting, I'd recommend, well, one, subscribing to me, because I'm going to hopefully make more videos on trains, but also watching a couple of other channels and videos. So, first of all, Alan Fisher's video on the Acela rolling stock and why it hasn't been deployed yet is a very interesting insight into how this isn't actually Amtrak's fault, but in fact, French rolling stock maker Alstom's fault. Now, additionally, I'd recommend Lucid Stew's videos. Lucid Stew makes a lot of really cool videos on American high-speed rail in general, but has also made specific videos on the new rail grants in the United States and where exactly they're going. Riding the Acela was a great experience, and so was transit overall. We need to improve transit, and a lot of that is already happening. I'm really hopeful for transit in the world, and stay tuned, really, because I'm going to make more videos, because this is actually really fun. Thank you!